Our friends at Detroit Boxing Company are dedicated to providing high-quality boxing apparel. With fighters and fight fans in mind, their designs are unique and stylish. With their hats, shirts, hoodies, jackets, they are going to make your jab cross hook look even more sexy. They have great classic t-shirts that feature some of boxing's biggest legends. Tommy Hearns, James Tooney, Jimmy Paul, and more. The people behind this company are simply wonderful, and they truly care about the boxing community. You have to check out their website at DetroitBoxingCompany.com and see the full catalog of all the great stuff they have available. Scoop up some fresh gear and just make sure you use the code word CoryCast at checkout, and you're going to save yourself a little bit of money. Check out their Instagram page at Detroit Boxing Company and hit that follow button. Just let them know that Cory sent you. My guest today is my friend Corinne Borio. She is a fantastic real estate agent that works for the EXP brokerage, and she is the sales manager for the Rich McCarron Team. And she is just fantastic. She is extremely genuine, very passionate about her business, and just a really nice human being. She went from a food service background into real estate world, and her customer service skills completely transitioned into her real estate business. She is passionate about her clients, just like she was in the food service industry. There's a reason why Corinne is extremely successful in her business and in our market. She shows clients time and time again that she's knowledgeable, passionate, and just really cares about her clients. You have to check out Corinne's Instagram. I'll put the link in the show description below because I think she does such a fantastic job with her Instagram. It really has like a brand and feel to it that I don't see too many other people doing. She really knocks it out of the park with her Instagram. I honestly think Corinne has the top 3 Instagram pages here in Central New York. I learned so much from Corinne on our conversation. I hope you take away some stuff. Even if you aren't a real estate agent, I think you'll learn a thing or two. Here's my friend, Corinne.
So my name is Corinne Borio. I am a licensed real estate agent, and I've been in real estate now for 5 years.
5 years?
5 years, yeah. So I've been, I got in right before COVID and all the craziness. So I got a little bit of that wave, and then, through the COVID and low interest rates, and then now seeing where we're going now with this shift. So
it's weird to me that you said only 5 years, because I thought a lot longer, just in the sense that I feel like you carry yourself very professionally in this business, where somebody with experience would be carrying themselves in that way. Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I get that a lot. I don't know if I just look older to people or what, but
no, that's the farthest thing.
Yeah,
it's definitely not because you look older. It's just the way you carry yourself. That's all.
Yeah, I definitely think that there is. I mean, this is people's usually their biggest purchase. So I think that it needs to be handled very delicately and carefully. So I try and bring that professionalism, but I try and make it fun too. It's not just business suits, and I try and make it fun and personal at the same time.
And 5 years, you've always worked on the Rich McCarron team?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah. So that's how I started. So it's so funny. So I was in the restaurant business before I got into real estate. I was in there for 13 years straight out of college. Loved it. Whoa. And that's actually kind of, just networking and meeting people. And, back then I was like, I love HGTV. I feel like I could be a real estate agent, not really knowing what it really is all about. And my best friend, Jordan Parkinson, actually was interning with the Rich McCarron team. She's like, well, why don't you just come and meet him? And she kind of connected us, and we met and meshed, and, we've been in business since together. So
that's cool. And were you guys originally, was it Keller Williams?
Yeah. So when I joined 5 years ago, we were with Keller Williams. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And then we just switched over to EXP actually 1 year ago. So they're a same global brokerage. They're more cloud-based. They're more virtual. So they have a lot of online tech, which I think, again, during COVID and that whole was great. I mean, I love the online trainings that they offer. So I'm loving it so far.
Yeah, I hear a lot of cool things about EXP. What was it that drew you guys to switching over to them?
Yeah, I think the main thing, well, there's a couple. I think the first was the trainings that were available virtually. I just think that platform, I mean, every hour of the day, if I wanted to go on the platform, there's some kind of training that I could watch or, follow
Oh,
along
nice.
with. And then better splits for agents. They offered healthcare actually, which is really unique. Yeah, they do
Nice.
offer healthcare. So I actually checked that out in December during the enrollment period. So just different things for the agents that we felt were more beneficial and just more money in our pocket at the end of the day, which again, just directly shows to our clients.
Right, right. That's cool. And
Right.
when you went over to EXP, was it a new role? Like I think your role in the McCarron team is sales manager, question mark?
Yeah, so I started that briefly right before we switched over to EXP. Yeah, so now I'm the sales manager. I'm a full practicing real estate agent, obviously, but yeah, so my goal is like role as a sales manager is really just keeping everyone on the team in line with their goals and helping production. Obviously, I want to be there as support for any of the agents, new or seasoned. That's my biggest goal with them.
So still selling and
Oh yeah.
now also managing too.
Mhm. Yeah, it's a different perspective. It's definitely a lot of balance, a balancing act with my time, making sure that I can, give my clients the most of me and also the agents on the team, but like let alone my family too. But
Right,
I do
right.
love it because if every deal is different, every transaction is different. So with the team and with the other agents, I'm actually learning from them as much as they're learning from me because, they might be going through a transaction that I've never finagled through that yet. So it's a learning, it's a win-win for everybody.
Yeah, and is that like how your mindset had shifted from sales to managing? Was it difficult for you to glom onto?
No, I mean, I hate calling myself like a manager because I don't manage anyone's time. I'm not bossy. I find myself more as guidance and support and, just a sounding board for anyone on the team. So, but no, I didn't find it difficult. No. I feel like I was already kind of doing it anyways. So,
Right, right. It sounds like you're less of like a manager role, more like a mentor to a lot of these people, right?
yeah. Yeah. So I actually am a certified EXP mentor. I did the program through them.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I am a certified mentor with our brokerage. So that does exactly what you're saying. I definitely feel more of like a mentor.
And
Mhm.
how many people are on your team?
Right now, we are just under 10. So we have some admin support as well. And then we have five full practicing agents, and then we have a couple part-time agents too. So
Nice, that's cool. So
yeah, yeah.
you guys are more than willing to work with somebody who's like part-time in the business.
Yeah, so that's actually how I started because I was I don't want to say skeptical, but new business. I wasn't just the person to dive right in. I was like, let me feel this out, especially, everyone says in real estate, stick with your day job because it can be hard to build some income coming in. And so I kept bartending and doing this. It worked out good for me because I was at night, I was bartending, and then during the day I was focusing on the business. But it got to the point where I couldn't do both.
Mhm.
So, and so I just had to make a decision on my end. What did I want to do more? And I felt real
Right.
estate was just definitely the career for me versus, the restaurant business moving forward.
How did you know when it was the right time to make that
Ooh.
full-time jump?
Yeah, so that was actually a really deep conversation I had with my husband. Just financially, just making sure that we felt comfortable and safe. So I'm not a numbers person at all. So luckily he is. So we were able to just kind of talk about financials and I was in a good spot. I had a decent incoming stream coming through. And then just time. It was getting to the point where I had clients and I felt like I wasn't giving them enough attention because I had to go to
Mhm.
work at 5 o'clock and bartend and then, be there till midnight. So my time was being stretched and I realized, you know what? Hey, it's time to give my clients 110%. So that's when I decided to quit.
Wow, so it almost became like a just a breaking point of your time and
Yeah.
energy.
Yeah, honestly, I
Yeah.
came to that crossroads and I was like, I'm either gonna sink or swim. And I chose swimming with real estate. And ever since then, my business has flourished because of it, dividing all of my time towards it versus, I mean, I love the restaurant business. I do miss it sometimes, but
Do you really though? Do you really miss it?
so I do sometimes. I miss the people, I miss I mean, again, I was there for 13 years. So I had like the bar regulars became my friends,
Yeah.
and I learned their stories and I follow their lives on Instagram and social media now just as much as they probably follow mine. And I'm so happy for them. But I was right during COVID. So when COVID started, it was not fun with all the rules and mandates. So that sucked the fun out of it. But
Yeah.
prior to that, I loved it. I really did. I had it really good where I was. I was with Copper Top and the Tully's family, and they were just so good to me. And I really, really loved it. I did. Mhm.
Yeah, that's for me. That was like what you're saying is same exact story. I came from retail, and it was slowly. I was doing. I was assistant manager for runnings, and slowly got into real estate, and then slowly picked up, and got to a point where runnings would let me. They would let me if I had to like schedule a showing on my lunch break. They would just let me go for like an hour and a
Oh,
half if I had to
nice.
drive. So they were
Mhm.
really great to me. But then it got to a point where I was like, I would come in for a shift and then be like, I gotta leave half day. And I felt terrible that I was doing that
Right.
on a fairly consistent basis that I was like, okay, maybe it's time that I
Yeah.
finally make that jump. But how scary was it?
Yeah, it was at
Right?
first, but it was. It really was. Well, it's a new career, and there
Yeah.
is no book about it really. And I mean, I had a great mentor. Rich was a great mentor for me, and he really guided me the entire way. It was like, do it if you feel comfortable. I was never pushed. That was, I think, so
Yeah.
important for me. But yeah, it was definitely scary at first going, again, just leaving something I was so comfortable with for 13 years and going into something new. And,
And a steady
there's,
paycheck. You lose
yeah.
that weekly
Mhm.
or bi-weekly paycheck.
Yeah, I tell everyone if you want to treat real estate like a full-time job, if you want to make full-time money, treat it like a full-time job because I think there's this myth of, you know, uh freedom and real estate agents on their liquid lunches all the time, but there's so much behind the scenes I think people don't see. And I really have a schedule like Monday through Friday of certain things and tasks that I do. And then I schedule my showings and other appointments outside of that if I can. Because I try and treat it like a full-time job because this is my livelihood. So
Right, right. And you strike me as the person who's very like time block, calendar type person.
I am when it benefits me.
Yeah,
If it's somebody
yeah,
else's time block, I'm so out of it. But yeah,
yeah.
so I am I'm a loose structurer. I definitely color outside the lines sometimes on my calendar, but yeah, I definitely have a time blocker. I have a calendar. Everything. If it's not in my phone, it doesn't exist because
Yep.
life brings
I've
things.
said that line a few times before. If it's not on my
Mhm.
phone, I just will not remember, and I will
But I
totally
have
forget
a
about it.
paper planner too, so I kind of use both. I use that more for time blocking to kind of keep me structured, and then the actual appointments and doctor's appointments and
In
all
the
that.
calendar.
Yeah,
And
in
your,
the
like, phone
actual
calendar?
yeah, mhm,
Yeah,
yep, in my
gotcha.
iPhone. Yeah, I love
What
everything,
is,
like,
like
connects nowadays.
you had mentioned that you treat every day you have, like, time blocked. What does a normal day look like for you? Is it, like, every day is an hour of prospecting, an hour each day of
Mhm.
X? Like, what does it look like for you?
Yeah, so I definitely try and keep it to stuff I like doing, and again, like, I have my days where I get up and I'm just like, I don't feel like doing this today," and I gotta find a way of pushing through, so, morning wake up, I try really hard nowadays to, like, not look at my phone right when I wake up. I think social media is great, but it also can be, it can put you down in the dumps if you're looking at other people doing amazing things and you just don't feel like you're there yet. I think it works both ways for me, at least. So first thing I
100%.
wake up, have my coffee. We just got a puppy. So right now my morning
Yeah,
schedule is a
so
little
cute.
chaotic. It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
So it's a little chaotic in the morning. My husband takes most of the work on that. So I can't even take any credit, but it's just different in the morning. So, but in the morning, I have actually it's right here. I read it every morning. It's called Journey to the Heart. It's like this daily meditation every morning. It's like a little clip and I read it every morning. There's day by days. I start with
Yeah.
that. And then, my office does an 8:30 Zoom every morning, Monday through Friday. So we hop on an 8:30 Zoom,
Oh,
gives everyone a chance, if you're not in the office or wherever you may be to ask a question. We talk about our wins. We talk about different transactions. And then from there, I dive right into prospecting and lead generation. Really just trying to find new clients. And then right around noon, I take a lunch break. And then the afternoon, I try to work on my business. So whether that's taking a class, whether that's fine tuning, the stuff that I provide for my clients. And then usually I try and do late afternoons and evenings for showings, depending on my clients. So,
no, there's so many questions I have just from what you rattled off right there. All right.
Yeah.
So first question, do you guys have an actual office location? I know EXP sometimes is more the
We
virtual space.
Yeah, so we do. So Rich loves an office, and it's true. Like I think I miss that people to people too, because with the bartending. So yeah, we do have an office. It's right on 7th North Street in Liverpool.
Oh,
So
okay.
I find it, we're right next to the thruway. We're so convenient. So it's 15 minutes for anyone to get to our office.
Okay. So you do have a location.
We
That
do.
was question one. Number two, you have a really good social media presence, and I feel like that has been a big focus of yours for the past couple of years, right? Like I really feel like the past few years you've really built a presence more and almost like really created a brand for yourself.
Mhm.
Has what led you to being more forward facing on social media is part one to the question.
That's a great question. Man, so I've always been a social media person. It's actually funny looking back at like the photos that I posted 10 years ago or like in high school and
Don't
stuff.
do that to yourself.
I
Do not do that to
know.
yourself. You're better than that, Corinne.
So like for when I was first on Facebook, that was when you had to have a college email to have a Facebook
Yeah,
account. So like that's
yeah.
where I go back to that because I started college right when Facebook came out. So yeah, I don't know. I didn't do it with a real estate intention at first. There really wasn't. It was just and then I realized, people really need to know me. And I was thinking, like, what was I doing? Like, I was Googling a business to find their hours. I was, especially during COVID, when things were kind of weary, I was checking, on their Instagram page to find out their hours of business because things were so volatile during that time. And I felt, okay, if I'm doing these things, somebody else must be doing these things. So if someone's looking for a real estate agent, where are they looking? Are
Yeah.
they going to Zillow and looking at reviews? Maybe yes, sometimes, but I'm like, they're either Googling, going on a Google Maps, seeing who's closest to them, Facebook. So that's kind of where I found it to be. All right, let's do this a little bit more purposefully, I guess you could say, with a real
Yeah.
estate attention, but then trying to keep it authentic. I think that's the hardest thing is I definitely went down the rabbit hole with Canva and trying to make it look beautiful and pretty. And I don't know if it does, but now I'm
It
kind of
does.
like,
I think it looks really great. When I
yeah,
look at your Instagram just as itself,
yeah,
I can really get a vibe of who you are as a person as well
I
as
love that. That's what my
it
whole
just has like
goal
a
is.
style.
Yeah, that's my whole goal. I just want you to feel comfortable with me because again, like you're with your clients, you talk to your clients more than you do your family sometimes, and you want to vibe with that and you got to mesh with your realtor. And I just want people, I'm just upfront, like, this is who I am. We're either going to be great to work together or not. And I like to show that. Look at
And it has like a
you.
really cool style to it too. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
you hit on all the great bullet points in your bio, as
Thanks.
well as like when I look at the Instagram as a whole, like I'm
Mhm.
seeing the greens, I'm seeing like
Mhm.
logos.
Yeah.
It definitely has like a feel to it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Thanks.
And is this all planned? Like, how did you learn how to grow on social media? Is it just self-taught or
Yeah, I mean, again,
EXP stuff?
I came up, in the era of Facebook and then learning Instagram. I just kind of grew into it. I just think with my age, but yeah, I definitely watched a lot of webinars. I mean, there's so much information out there for realtors of this is the best time to post and this is when, and I kind of did that for a while and I loved it. And then I found myself getting a little stressed out by it. And it started to not be fun. And I
Yep.
think Instagram and Facebook and social media should be fun. So I kind of got away from that and kind of just went more like whatever I'm feeling that day is what I'm posting. And maybe I don't post that day. I know that's probably against all the social media rules and all the webinars I've watched, but that's just how it's working for me. And I think that's lately has been showing more of my authentic self on social media.
And it's all you doing this, right? It's not you don't have
Yeah.
like a social media company doing this for you.
No, I don't. No. I make it
Which
all and do it
I
all
think is
and
even better. Like what you're saying hits home with me because when I got into real estate, I was like, I already enjoy social media. I could use it to leverage my business a little bit. But I just got down a wormhole that I was like, I'm spending
yeah.
way too long on this, and I'm just
Yes.
comparing myself to everybody on this fucking thing.
Mhm.
So it was really hard for me to like separate the two. But now I have the exact same mindset that you have. That I'm like, some days I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna post a Muay Thai video. Sometimes I'm gonna talk about Dungeons and
Right.
Dragons. I'm just gonna talk about stuff that I like and not worry about did I post a real estate focused piece of content today?
Right. Right. And
and
I think
just try
that
to
the
show
social
more
media.
about yourself.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I think at first we all tried to make social media such a business for like, real estate, real estate, real estate. And we're jamming it down people's throats. And that's great, but you can really go anywhere for a lot of that information. I just wanted to showcase more of myself, my personality. And yeah, I definitely got down that rabbit hole too. Like all of a sudden I'm like 3 hours in on Canva and I'm like, oh my God, what did I just
Yeah.
do?
Right. Right. This is like one post on 3
Yeah.
hours for one thing.
Yeah, I was
Like,
just spending too much
Jesus.
time on it where I could have been taking a real estate course and bettering my business in a better way for my clients versus showcasing myself on social media. So that's just my perspective. I know there's a lot of different opinions out there on social media. So it works for me. How about that?
Yeah. Yep. And it's yeah, same for me. It's funny as real estate is such a really funny business because there's like agents who have zero social media presence and are like top agents in
Mhm.
Onondaga County. I
Mhm.
always Barb Sarasillo, what a
Yep.
great agent, but she has like no
Mhm.
social media present, but she's like top 5 in
I
all of
know.
Onondaga County of most transaction counts. So she's like,
Yeah.
she has a really great business, but she doesn't need social media to
Right.
be successful. She's just very consistent in her prospecting
Yeah.
techniques, right? She just has something
Word of mouth.
different.
Yeah. Word of mouth.
What other types of prospecting do you do? Social media seems to be a big one, but is there something else that you do that's a big part of your business?
Yeah, so I'm really big on my sphere and my database. Those are my cheerleaders. My best friends share my posts more than anyone. So I really dive in on them. They are, they really trust me and they promote my business the best. So I do a lot with my database. I have a great CRM. So that really helps with my daily lead gen, just keeping myself organized. But yeah, after that, I kind of spread it out. Do I go after FISBOs, go after expireds? I have it all kind of weekly planned out. I try and hit a little bit. So, but I definitely dive more for me personally, database and social media for my prospecting.
Is there something that you do to keep in constant contact or still have that constant relationship with your clients after closing?
Yeah, so I definitely have some 36 touch plans that we do on our team. I mean, we do everything from, birthday cards to anniversary mailers. We do events throughout the year that we invite them to. And I do quarterly check-ins with a lot of people, whether that's providing, information about Star, tax information, or, right now Micron's the big news. So that's been kind of my thing for a lot of my clients out in Clay, just keeping them out in front of the news. Yeah, just kind of it doesn't have to be anything huge. It's just checking in on people and um, I don't know, just being genuine.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's what makes you very successful in your business. You're a very genuine type of person. When you got into real estate, was it totally what you expected?
Oh gosh, no.
Yeah.
No,
God, no.
not at all. Was it for you?
No. No.
Yeah.
I also didn't know, Corinne, really what to expect because I was at a point where I just wanted to find a new career, and I was
Mhm.
between becoming a barber or becoming a real estate agent. I was between the 2.
You have
So,
great hair, so I can
what's that? Oh,
you have
thank you.
great hair.
Thank you, Nick's
Mhm.
Barbershop. Um,
Shout out.
I remember at Thanksgiving one year, I was venting to my dad. I was like, so sick of retail. I need to get out of this career. It's just,
Mhm.
I'm not going anywhere in this place. And I tell him, I'm like, I think I might learn to cut hair. Maybe I'll learn how to sell houses. Like, my uncle Bob was a real estate agent for a short time. And then Christmas that year, my dad bought me the real estate course and said, here you
Oh, I
go.
love that.
So I kind of had to take it at that point. I couldn't
Yeah,
just not do it, And then
right.
one thing led to another, and I've found a lot of happiness in this business that
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if I was gonna find. I really had a bad idea or a rough idea of what was in my head for a real estate agent. I think everybody does, right? They all
Yeah.
think that we're like car salesmen and like kind
Yeah.
of like lowballers and
Yeah, dirty. Yeah. I mean, we're
yeah,
just like a step above. I think my biggest thing was like I just thought people walked in the door and was like, I want to buy a house. I want to sell my house. And
right,
I guess I didn't really realize how much you really gotta like who you're working with. And I didn't realize how hard it was to just how much to learn. I'm still learning. I've sold almost 200 homes at this point, and I'm literally still learning on every transaction. Like
yeah,
there's always something different. So
right.
I think that is yeah, I didn't expect that when I first started because HGTV makes it look real nice.
And HGTV makes it look real nice. What's the other
Yeah,
one? My wife likes to watch Selling Sunset.
I
I
do too.
cannot watch that show.
I know, because it's
I
nothing like
can't.
real estate, but I enjoy it. I love the fashion. They're always in heels, and I'm like, this is so not practical for
I
Syracuse, New York.
Okay, can you imagine showing 4-acre lot in
I know.
Hannibal with heels and like this crazy pink dress on? Like I could never
Mhm.
see it. But the house
I
they're
know.
showing is like $10 million. So
I know.
this is the infinity pool that
Yeah.
overlooks the hills of Hollywood. It's like, damn,
Uh-huh.
gives you kind of a false sense of what real estate
It
is.
does. It really, really does. And I think that's why I watch it because I like to poke fun at it, but I do enjoy. I like looking at $1 million houses. So I'll
Yeah,
watch
right.
all
Who
day.
doesn't, right?
Right.
Who doesn't? I'll tell you the story. I'm working with a friend of mine who, for the first time in my life, I am like high price point, like 800,000 to
Good.
$1 million houses. And when I show those houses to him, I always have to separate myself from how awesome the house is, right? It's like a
Mhm.
3,000 square foot house with 5 bedrooms and 6 bathrooms. And
Right.
I walk in, I'm like, this house is bonkers. But in his perspective, he's like, I got to update everything. I have to
Right.
paint this. The appliances are dated, even though I thought the appliances looked pretty cool. But I have to change my mindset.
Yeah.
Have you noticed that too? Because I feel like you do some luxury real estate too.
Yeah.
Was
I
that a
think it
shift for you?
slightly. I mean, at every price point, you just have to remember that it's an investment for them. So you just have to
Yeah.
adapt a little bit on that end. And I think you did that perfectly. It's a different expectation, and the buyers know that when they're looking at the houses. Most of the buyers know that, I should say.
Yeah, and he's pretty down to earth. He's a good buddy of mine. But like the first
Yeah.
time I've been exposed to such a higher price point that when I
Mhm.
walk through these houses, it's like, oh my god, this house is gorgeous. So
Well,
I have to
higher
like remove
expectation.
myself from it and
Mhm.
like be like, no, well, what's Frank thinking right now? What's Steve thinking as he goes
Right.
through this? What does Tom think of the kitchen layout when he does this? What's Stacy think of
Mhm.
the layout from the kitchen living? It's all the same, right? It's the same conversations I'd have at an
Right.
$80,000 listing. You know what I
Right.
mean? Still the same points of conversation. Um,
It is.
and you have always been with Rich McCarron, who's been
Mm.
like a mentor to you. So having a
Yeah.
mentor is super, super important to you, right?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
I
huge about education. Like that is something that I preach so much is just I'm always learning myself, like I said earlier. And I tell all the newbies, like, soak up as much information, watch every training, webinar, everything you can do, read every book on the subject, because the course doesn't really teach you anything.
yeah, just law. Just like
Yeah. Stay out of jail.
don't say
Gotta stay
this.
out of jail.
Yeah, it doesn't really tell you how to sell. And that's the mentoring thing for me was like the big one because I wanted to be under the wing of somebody. Has it always been Rich, right? Since you
It
got in,
has.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, some people do switch their mentors throughout their career and because, you're just in different stages of growth. But right now, I'm very happy with where I'm at. Who's your mentor, by the way?
Donna Jordan.
Oh, she's so
Yeah.
great.
I
Oh,
know.
that's a
I
good
love her. She's
friend.
awesome. I knew
Oh,
Donna when I was 17 years old. I was working
yeah.
at PetSmart with a giant crop of like surfer boy hair, and she was the dog trainer that was there. And
Oh,
her and I used to work nights all the time, so I got to know Donna very well, and we've just remained friends pretty much
right.
throughout our entire lives from Facebook or some form of
Mhm.
social media. And then she got into real estate, and she was the one that I was like, "All right, my dad got the course. I got to
Right.
talk to you. Let's
Yeah.
figure out how we can make it happen." You
Oh,
know?
that's amazing. She's so great.
Yeah,
That's
and
awesome.
especially when you have a mentor and somebody that you can like call on, like, and even if that mentor, you said you're like always learning something new, and even if
Mhm.
that mentor doesn't know something, you have an opportunity to talk through a problem and come up with a solution
Yeah.
together rather than being solo and trying to figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
So important. So important.
Yeah, it's mentoring is a big deal, at least I think so. And you also mentioned too about education's big for you. Are you teaching any classes? I feel like you'd be a really good educator.
Um, not on like the GSAR level, but I do a lot with our team in-house and with EXP locally. I'll do a lot of classes. I've done actually social media classes in the past. I do contract classes where we actually, review every step of the contract. So I do that a lot. Yeah.
I don't know why you're not teaching like you should be teaching for the GSAR.
Yeah, I could. I'm getting
You
there.
You could if you wanted. I mean, you got a lot of stuff on
Yeah.
your plate, but I think you'd be good. I think you got a clear, concise way of getting information across that you would flourish in that environment. You would just need to do it, your ITI, and then you could do some CE credits.
Yeah, you know all about that.
It's only a class away. It's like
Yeah.
2 days of classes or 3 days of classes,
Mhm.
and then you'd be certified, and bing, bang, boom, you'd be off on your own there.
Whew, something to think about. It's on the back burner of future plans. So,
How do you, when you like sit down for the start of the year, how do you conduct your goals for that year? How do you figure out what you're gonna accomplish for the year?
Ooh, that's a
Because
great
that's
question.
something I always struggle with. Like every year, I just like sit down and I think I'm doing something, and then I end up
Mhm.
just like finding a number.
Right, that makes
But I
sense.
feel like there's got to be more involved in it.
There is. So luckily, like just being on our team, there's a ton of accountability, which I think helps one keep those goals in line. So like everyone on our team has a yearly goal for the year, and then we kind of break it down like the 411. So we break it down, you know, in monthly, weekly, daily. Like what are the steps that I can do today to get where I want to be by the end of the year? And we have checkpoints quarterly or half year and kind of check in on that to see where we're at and see, okay, this month, maybe I didn't sell any houses. So what can I do differently next month to make sure that I get some contracts under, get some homes bought for my clients. So just kind of analyzing and really just analyzing what you're doing on a day-to-day basis will help you in the end goal. For me, it's my goal. Like in 2021, I sold 50 houses and that was a lot for me. And that's like a house a week. So
Yeah, Corinne, I sold the most I did was 2021, which was like 34 and 35. And I told Brittany I wanted to pull my goddamn hair out. I couldn't imagine
yeah,
50.
Yeah, 50, and it was, right during COVID. It was 2021. It's my best year, 50 houses. I was so proud of it, but I was tired at the end. And luckily we have some leverage on the team with transaction coordinators and admins, and they handle a lot of that, but it's a lot of energy and time going from showing to showing. At that point, we were writing 7 offers until your client actually got the house because of what was going on. But yeah, so goal wise, I kind of went from there. That was my best year. I was so happy with it. But then I had to realize, okay, how can I balance it out a little bit so I can have a little more home time? My husband's home more now. So yeah, I had to really deep dive in the past to, move forward, make my future.
So you like kind of start with the bigger number in mind and work backwards from that?
My goal is always bigger. So my number goal is bigger. My price point is bigger now than it was then. So that's actually going to help in a different role. But yeah, I think I could still do 50 houses this year. I actually mirrored my goal from 2021. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I did actually, but I'm just doing it. I just, with the team backing me, I have a transaction coordinator. So that helps take a lot of the paperwork aspect off my plate.
Right.
So that helps. I mean, we have a marketing person, so that helps with just making me look good on paper and on print. Right. So that takes a lot off my plate too. So that way I can really just divulge and focus on my clients.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just a little different.
Which gives you kind of more of a work-life balance,
Yeah. Oh my God. I think that was the hardest struggle for me with this was that, especially when you're new, you were like, go, 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 go. You are skipping every dinner, every friend's birthday party to go show houses because that's what, you're told to do. And then at some point you get burnt out and you're like, oh my God, I haven't seen my dad in 3 months. I haven't had a date with my husband in a month, so you start realizing like, what am I sacrificing? So it's the work-life balance in this career I think is the toughest for a lot of people.
How have you managed that work-life balance? Because I think a lot of people do struggle with it in this business.
Yeah. Time blocking helped. I think really making sure that I put my family time in there first, I think really helps. Planning
actually blocking your calendar with family time.
Yeah.
Super important.
Yeah. So, and personal time too. Like I'm going to a yoga class on Sunday and that's time blocked. And honestly, I'll tell you right now, the do not disturb function on my phone is like my best friend right now.
Yeah.
Because I am the one that my phone's always next to me. And
Yeah.
I'll always respond if someone texts me or calls, and I have to realize like, okay, you know, this is not life or death. Like this could wait an hour or to later in the day when I'm at my desk, or, you know, if I'm at a doctor's appointment, why am I taking real estate phone calls? So just kind of learning that, and the do not disturb function on my phone has really been a blessing for me, I'll say.
Yeah, it was a big one for like when you first start, you just want to say yes to everything, right? So
Yeah.
you're like, yes, I'll do that. Yes, I'll go do this. Yep, I'll do that. And then you end up kind of spinning your tires with a couple people, and then you start learning from that lesson. And like if you're listening to this podcast and you're newer agent, time blocking this kind of stuff is super important, is going to help just allow you the balance that a lot of people need in this business, you know?
Yeah.
It's there's a statistic that's out there that I don't know if it's true, but it's like 60% of people who are in real estate end up getting divorced or something like that.
Oh gosh.
I remember hearing it, but I also didn't fact check it. So
yeah, okay.
Hopefully it's not true. But when I heard it, it kind of scared me because I was like, oh God, I don't want that to happen to Brittany and I.
Right.
Like that's the worst thing ever. So like time blocking, family time, or making it a priority to, you know, go on date nights and stuff is super important. It allows you the opportunity to, you know, still spend time with the people that you care about and not working yourself like a horse, you know.
How long have you been married?
2018. Yep, July 2018.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah, and I actually met her at PetSmart. Believe it or not, while I was working at PetSmart. Yep. Hey, it all happens.
Full circle.
Full circle is right. I know. She would be a good one to sell real estate too. She doesn't want anything to do with it. I'm just saying the Lawson team would be great, but she wants nothing to do with it. So I don't.
Oh my gosh! You know, it's funny. My husband's actually taking the real estate course right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I'm like, I didn't scare you out of real estate. Like, you want to get in? And he's like, yeah. He's like the Borio team. I'm like, all right, we'll see what happens.
Oh, nice. What does your husband do right now for work?
So nothing right now. He's on a little hiatus. His family restaurant sold in last year actually. So he is just kind of taking it easy for a while, had, you know, some things in order and just kind of enjoying some downtime because he was literally working like 80 hours a week, one day off. It was crazy. I mean, that's the restaurant business, you know. So
when you have your own restaurant, it's that takes up a large chunk of your day.
It did. It definitely took. I mean, he would leave here, oh my God, by 8:39 in the morning and come home on Fridays at like 1 a.m. midnight.
Right.
So yeah, just a little downtime. He's enjoying golf, and I'm enjoying golf with him. I can't lie.
Nice. So, nice. Yeah. And now I smell the start of the Borio team. Move over, Rich McCarron. It's no longer the Rich McCarron team.
It could be the Borio McCarron team. We'll see. So we'll see. There's some early workings, you know, we'll see what happens.
You heard it here first, folks. You heard it here first.
Maybe.
What's the best piece of advice Rich has ever given you?
Oh my gosh. Family first is honestly, that's like his tagline. I swear. Family first. And, yeah, no one typically dies in real estate. So nothing's that important to sacrifice your time, which maybe somebody did at one point. So I hate saying that line, but family first, really just making sure. I mean, he's I always called him my third dad, you know, so cause I had, you know, my dad, my father-in-law, and then he's my third dad. Yeah. And that's only because one time my hot water tank exploded. I called my dad. He didn't answer. I called my father-in-law. He didn't answer. I called Rich and he answered. So he got the tagline third dad because I needed, you know, I was like, oh my God, what do I do? It's literally like a fire hydrant in my basement right now. But yeah, family first, I think. And I think that just goes back to the time blocking and the work-life balance and really just, you know, loving on the people around you first and before putting your business in front of it. Mm-hmm.
Now, what piece of advice would you give to a new agent? Same thing, or would you have something else to say?
Yeah, I think it goes in line with that, but I think mentorship, I think for a new agent is, I think mentorship, having a good mentor that you can rely on, that you feel comfortable with and can speak to as soon as a question or problem arises. I think so many real estate agents come into this business with so many misconceptions and they start shooting from the hip and we have to remember at the end of the day that this is someone's, usually their biggest transaction. And, messing up a contract is a big deal. There's a lot of law involved. So I think having the right people behind you, a support system, whether that's family, whether that's a mentor, I think that's huge, 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 huge with a first time agent for sure.
Do you have any tips for somebody who might be looking to find their mentor on maybe good questions to ask them or different things to look out for in their mentor?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm all about comfort. Like I need to feel comfortable with you. Otherwise, I'm not going to pick up that phone and call you at 5 o'clock on a Friday because I feel like I'm already intrusive to you. So it's got to be a comfort level. I say interview. I mean, I tell everyone interview and get quotes. Like I got fencing done and I got 3 quotes because I wanted to just compare them. Like with my buyers getting a mortgage loan, at least vet 2 mortgage originators to get quotes to compare them. At least you have something to compare. So I would say the same thing for anyone looking for a mentor. Like just find someone that you already feel comfortable with or and then interview them. And I do have actually a list of questions that I've given out to people in the past. It doesn't need to be salesy. It just needs to be someone that's your comfort with and, has some sales under their belt to prove their worth, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I just got stupid lucky that Donna is as good as she is. And that was my way.
So did I.
Right. Like you had a great agent, and some people might be listening to this and thinking to themselves, well, I don't have any connections in real estate. I don't know anybody who is a good mentor. I would ask for at least some type of what's your level of experience? How many houses have you sold? Like kind of get a figure of who they are as an agent, but also who they are as a person.
Right.
Because like you said, you want to be comfortable with them. I know I can call Donna 7 p.m. on a Friday and she's going to answer and help me. And I don't feel bad about it. Not to say I abuse that power, but
of course,
like if I'm in a pinch, like I don't feel guilty about it,
Yeah, 100%.
Did you interview with multiple brokerages or was Rich McCarron like that was the one and done?
I did actually. So he doesn't know that I did, but secrets coming out on this podcast. No, I did. My good friend Jordan got us the connection. I was so grateful for that, but I wanted to make sure I wasn't, I didn't want to make sure I had my blinders on. I wanted to make sure I was making the right move. So I did.
Corinne.
3
quote Corinne.
Yeah, honestly, kind of. Yeah. So I did some research on other brokerages' websites, just kind of getting a feel. I looked at I didn't really know any real estate agents, so that was a little tough for me. So I did a lot of online Googling and looking at the different brokerage websites and just trying to get a feel for what made me feel comfortable. And I did reach out to one other brokerage and they were great. Honestly, it was just that I vibed better with Rich and obviously, for good reasons.
Right. See, and I didn't interview with anybody, which is like a big number one no. Like you should talk to other brokerages, but I got lucky that I ended up finding Howard Hanna, which I love very much and I'm very comfortable with and is
perfect.
Is great. But some people don't get that lucky on their first time, So interview different brokerages just so you are in the know and you can like Corinne's fences, compare who has tools, who has mentorship, who can have the time of day to spend with you, and you get to know them a little bit more so you're comfortable with them,
Yeah.
Corinne, if you had a magic wand, it could change anything about real estate with one flick of the wrist, what would it be?
God. That's a tough question.
I know, right?
I feel like
I'll go first. I'll give you some time to think.
All right,
Mine would be I would change the closing from 60 to 30.
Oh,
that would
that's
be my
a good
thing.
one.
But that's only if I could wave a wand and make it happen. I don't care about the logistics. I know it's difficult. I know it's a pain. I know the seller wants to wait until they get commitment. I understand. But we're one of 2 other states that cannot close in 30 days. And I just want to wave my wand.
That's a really, really good one.
Just because it is hard. I will say, like I talked to my friend Alec, who is in Pennsylvania, and he was telling me he got his client from contract to close in 16 days, Corinne, with the title company. But they don't. But in Pennsylvania, it's just agent, title company, agent, buyer, seller. Right. So you can make it happen a lot quicker. He said that's the quickest he's ever had. But when you tell him 60 days minimum, he's like, damn, how do you how do
Do
you
it.
like set their expectations? How do you
Yeah.
set the timeline? It's like if you don't do that from the jump, then they are frustrated throughout the
Yeah.
process. I just
Mhm.
wish we get close in 30 days. That's it.
The waiting game is the worst.
I know, right? All right.
You get
So
so
magic
excited.
wand. What are you
Magic
changing, Corinne?
wand. Oh my god. I wanna hop on yours. That was so
Sure.
good. You know, gosh, I don't know if I could change anything about real estate. I just think there's just so much misinformation, misconceptions out there. I don't even know. I don't know. That's a really great question. I'm gonna have to ponder on that one. I'll make a
What
post
is
about
the first misconception that comes to mind about real estate agents?
it. Yeah, just kind of that we're sleazy. We're just in it for the sale, just for a number. And for me personally, that's just not the case. I think that's the biggest misconception that I've heard
Yep.
because I think, they either had a bad experience with a different agent that made them feel that way, or, who knows?
Which leads me to the next question is how do we as an industry change that perspective? Do
Yeah,
we
well,
make getting a license even harder? Should we, instead of a 75-hour course, maybe it's you go to school for 2 years
yeah.
to
I
be
mean,
an agent?
I think it's all kind of circles back to where we started this conversation. And I feel like professionalism is just so important. I do feel some people don't hold that very well with this. I think, I don't know, they treat real estate like they're a side gig. And I don't always feel that's correct because it is,
Mhm.
again, someone's biggest purchase. So I feel just kind of leveling up the professionalism. Yeah. And I do think a little bit more education on the front end would help a lot of agents, honestly, from the
Yeah,
start versus, again, shooting from the hip and don't know how to write a contract and they're faking their way through it. And then, we see the deal fall apart and then we wonder why. So,
right. Well, and that's the hard thing too, I think, is when you come down to law, no matter if you go to Onondaga County or Long Island or New York City, the laws and the definitions are the same, but like contracts are different between counties.
I
So it's
know.
like, how do you begin to put contract law into a course? It's like,
Yeah.
do we have one blanket contract? But then if we do that for the entire state, then there's
Right.
different areas that stuff with the contract wouldn't apply to. And
Right.
it's this very weird, intricate
It is.
dance,
It
you know?
is. And I think that just goes back to education and mentorship and getting the right knowledge behind you. I think that would be a big one for me, is just the education aspect is maybe a better requirement, like you said, from the get-go for getting into the industry. So that way people really know what they're doing before they step foot out there in the real world.
Yeah. I mean, like I would imagine like just a 2-year degree, you get your associates in real estate, you have courses on law.
Right.
What about courses on how to be a professional, right? Or how about
Right.
courses on fair housing stuff? Like, how
Right.
about a course like I think we could up it, but then that's also going to kick a lot of people out. We would only get the people who, if I had to do that when I was working full time, I don't know if I've
Yeah.
ever would have made the jump into real estate.
Yeah.
It's
That's
like a
true.
double-edged sword, though,
It is. That
because
is.
being able to take the course and what is it, 75, and I think they're just raising it too, right?
Good. Yeah. I think it's
78 or
78
77 or
now.
something.
Mhm.
So that you can do in less than a month if you
Yeah.
plug away every night on it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know how you can change it, other than us just being professionals every
Yeah.
single transaction, and that's
Yeah.
relying on how many registered real estate agents across the
Mhm.
country, relying on
Yeah.
them to be professional as well.
Right.
I
I
wonder
agree.
how many realtors there are in the United States.
I feel like I know the number. I saw the number, but isn't that always changing? I mean, the stats this year say that like 40% are going to get out of business. So we'll see.
40%, really?
That's the number. Again, I didn't fact check
Um,
it.
Coming from homelight.com, there are 3 million holding active real estate license in the United States.
All right.
Um, Out of all of those, 1.6 million are realtors themselves as
Hmm.
of November 2020, according to 2022,
Oh,
according to a 2022 NAR report. So
yeah.
1.6 million realtors. There's probably a lot of part-time people in there, probably
Right.
some property managers, probably not a 1.6 full-time working real estate
Right.
agents.
Right.
So,
Wow. That's an
but that's a
impressive number.
lot of people, huh?
We're one of many.
Yeah, that's a lot of people. Corinne, how I listened to a podcast with Tom Ferry, and
Mm.
he brought up a really good point of how do you differentiate yourself from those 1.6 million, 3 million other real estate agents? How does Corinne set herself apart?
Ooh, what a great question.
Right?
Yeah, I'm put
Yeah,
on the
Tom
spot
Ferry.
here
That's
today.
easy.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I just like readjusted because I got serious.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I want to show my genuine self. I'm very thorough. I follow up. I think that's a big downfall in real estate agents. They don't follow up. They'll, you don't hear from them for 2 weeks and they're like, where'd my agent go? So I definitely try and bring the professionalism. I try and make it fun too, because I like to laugh and have a good time. But still bringing education through to my buyers and sellers, because I think it's important to understand what's going on. This is a big transaction for people. So, and then I like to lighten the load for people. I like to make sure that I'm doing the heavy lifting for them as much as I can. And then just being genuine. At the end of the day, again, you got to vibe with the person that you're working with, no matter what career or whatever it is that you're doing. So, just being genuine and real. I'm very honest, sometimes a little too honest. But I'd rather
But that's
that.
what we're here for. That's the thing is
Yeah.
I tell people I'm like Alec has got this. Alec works for a brokerage called Angle and Volkswagen. I'm butchering
Mhm.
that name, and they do a lot of luxury properties, and they're like from Switzerland or something,
Mhm.
right? So they always call themselves real estate advisors. So
Mm.
ever since I talked to him, I'm like, yeah,
Mm.
I like the term
like
advisor
that.
because an advisor is going to we're here to tell you the good, the bad, and the
Right.
ugly, and the stuff that
Mm.
you don't want to hear, right?
Right.
That's kind of the unfortunate job. But as a part of being your advisor to the largest asset that you
Right.
own, like you said before, is really important that we're not just sugarcoating
Yeah.
everything,
Yeah.
you know?
Agreed.
Yeah, sometimes you have to kind of break some hard news to people,
Yeah. Well, the good, the bad, the ugly of real estate right there.
Yeah. Corinne, I want to make sure I get you out of here on time, and I just want to say thank you very much for doing the
Yeah.
podcast. I'm sorry to cut it a little short. I started a little late today, but
Life
thanks
happens,
for
right?
your time. Well,
Of
almost an
course.
hour. We almost hit an
Hey.
hour just talking about real estate. Isn't that crazy?
I mean, I feel like I could keep going, but I'm going to run
I
out of
know,
coffee.
right? I know. I feel bad holding you up this long already.
No,
Um,
I love this. It's fun.
yeah, this was great. I really appreciate your time, and I think this is going to be really useful for a lot of agents, not only in our area but also outside. A good learning conversation. So thank you.
Well, thank you. It was a pleasure. I had so much fun. Let's do it again.
Thank you so much for watching this episode of the Cory Cast. I really appreciate the time that you spent listening and even listening to the full episode to get you to this point. I just want to say I'm just so appreciative and so thankful that I have so much love and support for these episodes. If you want to be a guest on this podcast, reach out to me. I'm always looking for new people. Let's talk about what you're passionate about. Let's talk about your hobbies. Let's give you a positive platform to talk about the things that matter to you. Do me a favor, make sure you hit subscribe, like, follow, leave a review of the podcast. All those little things will help this podcast grow, because without you guys, there is no podcast, and I am just so grateful that you're taking the time to listen to it today. Thank you so much.